Thank you, Mr. Ojo. Personal data doesn't stay in one place. It moves fast and often across countries. Each transfer brings new legal responsibilities for businesses that handle such data. Today, privacy in the digital age is a universal concern, and Nigeria is no exception. With a growing digital economy and increasing internet penetration, individuals and businesses in Nigeria are facing unique privacy challenges and opportunities. To shed more light on the importance of safeguarding personal data in this dynamic digital landscape is a certified AI security and cybersecurity professional, Hanniel Jafaru. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in then. Why is there so much discussion about data protection in this country?
It's not just this country, it is a global discussion. Recently, there was the African Data AfriDrap that's converged in Nigeria to host the Data Protection and Privacy Conference. So it's not just a local discussion, it is a global discussion. And the reason why it is global is because as you have captured in your report, data is the new oil and information is truly the currency that we strive on. So there is the need for us to begin to have that discussion as it's aligned how our data will be protected, who's in charge of our data, where is our data stored, how should it be protected, how is it kept, how is it processed, how secured is the data. So we need to begin, because with somebody having access to your data, there is that possibility for them to be able to use your data for abnormal use, and that can be a concern for your personality. It can abuse, it can dent on your personality, it can dent on your corporate identity and your personal identity. So these are some of the concerns, and one of the major reasons why it is a global discussion is because the inability for a country to be able to manage the data that resides within its cyber domain brings about distrust and has a direct effect on the growth of the digital economy of that country. So once you've been able to secure, have systems in place, policies in place, frameworks in place that helps in managing and protecting data and its privacy, it helps, it indirectly builds trust in the international sphere, thereby making international organizations interested in coming here to invest, knowing fully well that the data within the cyberspace of the country has a level of security because of the policies and the frameworks and system guidelines that is available, that is within the country.
Mr. Jafar, you mentioned how to manage, and then you mentioned frameworks in place and policies. What would you say is our legal framework here in Nigeria for data protection?
Okay, well, we have I think in 2023, we are among the first country in Africa that signed in the Data Protection Act into law. That was among the first few bills that was signed in by this current administration. And beyond just signing the Data Protection Act, we already had the NDPR, which is the Nigerian Data Protection Nigerian Data Protection Policy, which is the NDPR. Before the NDPR was later translated into an act that was later signed in by the current administration. The act tends to put in policies in place. It tends to put in strategies in place on how certain things would be achieved when it has to do with the protection of the data that is in the custody of a Nigerian company, or the protection of data that is in custody, protection of Nigerians' data that is in custody of international companies. So the policy tends to address how they would protect how they should protect the data. The policy tends to address how they should ensure the privacy of that's the personally identifiable information of individuals' data that is resident within these organizations. So there is now need for what is known as a data controller. A data controller is an organization that is in custody of either Nigerians' data within Nigeria or custody of Nigerians' data outside Nigeria. So then a data custodian is better to have a data protection officer who manages the whole data processes, understands the security implication of data being breached, understands how to ensure that data should be kept private. So the data protection officer, which is the DPO, helps the data controller to manage the data. So these are some of the policies within our guidelines or within the Act that helps us in managing our data.
Let's talk about success now, economic success that is. The richest companies in the world today are the tech companies. As it has been said, it's the new oil. Is this in line with data driving their businesses?
Definitely, because most of the companies now, you find out that majority of the companies are moving towards AI. And the reason is because AI is the next dispensation of technology, or we're already in it, is the dispensation of technology that is driven by data. So without data, you can't train any AI. In fact, there are three components to AI. There is the AI algorithm, which is the process. There is the AI application, which is the end use. Then there is the data. So there is the algorithm uses the data to train itself to form an AI model. So data, as long as data is concerned, without data, there will be no AI. So companies are moving, in fact, organizations are being set up specifically for the purpose of generating data, managing data, and also selling data. So all these AI-based organizations would need this data. So they go to these organizations to buy access of this data and use the data to train their AI model and eventually start selling the AI model. But the day they are unable to have access to the data, they won't be able to train an accurate model. So AI is largely driven by data. Large corporations would need data to be able to go into the field of AI. Google has data that it has gathered from the from its Google platform. Facebook has data that it has gathered from the Facebook and all the social media platforms that are under it. Microsoft has data. So all these organizations, they have data. They keep all this data. Now they are making use of this data to create AI. So AI and data are synonymous. You can't separate AI from data. The day you separate AI from data, you won't give your AI, the AI model won't be accurate as it has been to a large extent. So you can't, most global cooperation needs data, and it's something that the privacy of this data is of concern for us, because once they use this data to train the AI, if a private person information is in that data, it means that private information can be exposed in the course of interacting with the AI model. So it's quite a complex and a technical issue, but the general philosophy is that as long as AI is concerned, it is largely or typically synonymous with data.
Now, Mr. Jafaru, what will be your reaction to the challenges of cross-border data transfer and privacy protection?
Okay, so it's a huge concern. You know, for every new technology, there will usually be that concern that would require collaboration. So when it has to do with cross data, most countries are already talking about data sovereignty. How data should begin to reside within the country of the citizens. So, like Nigeria, for example, that which is, at least it's good to even commend the work of Dr. Olatunji, Vincent Olatunji of the NDPR. Is doing a good work. But and one of the things he has been advocating for is the fact that we should begin to look at how we can have the data sovereignty, meaning Nigerians' data should reside in Nigeria. And they have to look for a way to make that happen. Because if data is the new oil, the more data you have the more data of your citizens you have within the cyberspace of the country, the easier it is for you to be able to manage who have access to the data, and the easier it is for you to be able to use it to boost your own digital economy. But if you begin to leave the data of the citizens or the data of a country to be resident in another country, it is a plus to your own digital economy. So we have to begin to look at how to to implement the data sovereignty, which is a global cry. And every country is talking about how they can make the data of their citizens and the data of the country to remain within the country. So once, and I think there will be need for international collaboration when it has to do with cross-border data, because without international collaboration, we may not be able to effectively implement the data sovereignty policy.
So how do we address the abusive use of personal information now? That's of individuals some business owners use.
Well, the challenge is one, mostly it's an ignorant issue, because there is a challenge of data breach where an organization's data would be breached, and the information that is in custody with that organization becomes exposed. That is an information on one side, and there is the other aspect where an organization information is provided to an organization, and that organization may not even be a legal entity. Like some of these loan sharks who tends to want to capture or get information of those collecting loan from them. Some of these loan sharks are not even registered yet. And when you are installing their application on your phone, what usually happens is that you give them access to your contacts, you give them access to your location, you give them access to your messages, you give them access, and these are not legal entities within the confines of Nigeria. So they can do and undo. There have been cases whereby there's no address for some of these loan sharks. So you find out that some of them, some persons begin to receive SMS from close relative or person that distant friend that someone collected money and they should tell the person to pay. That's because when the person was collecting this loan, they gave them access to all their contacts. So the loan shark guys have direct access to all your contacts, and that's how they are able to get access to all the contacts that are on your phone. But it's not just your contacts. They have access to your location, they have access to your messages, they have access to a whole lot of information about you that are resident to your phone.
That's kind of scary on a very big level.
Yeah,
they have access to your location, that's just too intimate.
They do. It's just sad that we just tend to, because of I can say largely because for lack of word, maybe poverty in the land or the challenges that people are passing through, they just need this money urgently. They don't mind, they don't want to read some of the policies that is attached to these organizations, mobile applications.
Let's go, Mr. Jafaru. We're almost out of time. Quickly now, will you say Nigeria is cashing in on the opportunity inherent in data protection ecosystem? You know, we're training 1 million data protection officers in the next 3 years.
Well, it's a good initiative that we're training 1 million data protection officers. We just need to ensure that we know who we're training them for. Okay. Because 1 million data protection officers, are we training them for Nigerians, or we're training them for the globe? And if we're training them for the globe, we should not limit the curriculum to just be the Nigerian data protection policy. There is the GDPR, there is this California law, data protection law, and other international data protection and privacy laws that needs to be integrated into the curriculum so that it is awesome and they are not just trained to be used only by Nigerians and Nigerian companies. But if we can capitalize on expanding the curriculum and ensuring that it's an international-based curriculum and they can work even within the country and outside the country, I think it's a good initiative that we should applaud the NDPC for initiative.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jafaru, for your insights. Thank you for your time and being on the program.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's always a pleasure to be here.